Hi, I'm Rich Wyatt. Welcome to Gunsmoke Guns TV.com. Welcome to GunsmokeGunsTV.com, guys. We appreciate you being here. Today, we're going to talk about something very important and very serious: safety. Colonel Jeff Cooper had 4 basic firearm safety rules. Rule number 1, all guns are always loaded. Rule number 2, never let the muzzle of a weapon cover anything you are not willing to destroy. Rule number 3, this one's the golden rule. If any are more important than any of the rest, this one's the most important. Keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are on the target and you're prepared to shoot. And rule number 4, be certain of your target and beyond. Now listen, folks, if you follow all 4 of these rules, you will never injure somebody you didn't intend to with a firearm. And this is very important because anytime that we have any kind of a mishap or a problem with a firearm, the media latches onto it and they broadcast it everywhere. More children slip and fall on the ice every year and die than are accidentally killed with firearms. Now, that's an amazing statistic considering half the country doesn't have ice and the other half of the country only has it for half of the year. But if a little kid falls down in Rocky Mountain National Park tonight here in Colorado on the ice and dies, that won't make the news. But if a kid in South Florida, because somebody didn't handle a gun or store it properly, picks up a gun and shoots a family member, which is a tragedy, that will be on the news everywhere in the United States and internationally for that matter. So we have to do the best we can to protect ourselves. Now, I know you're all gun owners and everybody thinks, I've been shooting all my life. When somebody tells me they've been shooting all my life, that tells me they don't know how to shoot. Because nobody ever taught them. I was the same way. I was the same idiot that said, I've been shooting all my life, and I didn't know what I was doing until I went to Jeff Cooper, Colonel Jeff Cooper's general pistol class. And when I did, it changed my life, and I learned how to shoot. I learned these safety rules. Heck, I went to which at the time was one of the best gunsmithing schools in the country. I spent 2 full years there, 5 days a week, full time, and they never covered these 4 safety rules. Now, I don't recommend that school anymore today, but we're not going to talk about that. All we're going to talk about are these 4 rules. Rule number 1 said all guns are always loaded. Is that true? No, it's not. We know it's not true because I can pick up this pistol right here, I can rack that slide to the rear, I can physically and visually inspect the chamber and make absolutely sure that it's empty. But what we mean is that whenever we put a pistol, a rifle, a shotgun in our hand, that we handle it as if it were loaded. We consider that it's loaded, we treat it that it's loaded. Because folks, I've been in the fire service and in the police department for over 21 years. And I've been to lots of calls for service where people shot somebody they didn't mean to shoot. And every time, what's the first thing they say when you get there? I didn't know the gun was loaded. Well, lucky, the loud bang you heard, that's an indicator the gun was loaded. And so if we treat these firearms as if they're loaded, we're less likely to ever have a problem. So we always consider rule number 1, all guns are always loaded. Now, rule number 2 says never let the muzzle cover anything you're not willing to destroy. The front of the gun here, that's the muzzle, folks. We don't let that cover anything that we're not willing to destroy. Not just point it at it, we don't let it cover it. Because when we let the muzzle cover something, if this gun should discharge, if it should fire, and it doesn't do it by itself, that doesn't happen, okay, then we're gonna run the risk of damaging that. We don't wanna do it, okay? We don't wanna do it. So rule number 3 is the golden rule. And that says keep your finger off the trigger until your sights, here's your front sight and your rear sight, are on the target and you're prepared to shoot. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the trigger right here, and this is the trigger guard. But what we mean when we say that is keep your finger right outside of the trigger guard. If you see somebody walking around with their finger on the trigger like this, they don't know what they're doing. They do not know what they're doing. If you see somebody moving around with their finger outside the trigger guard, that's probably a properly trained individual. You be that person, be the trained individual. And rule number 4 simply says, be certain of your target and beyond. And the whole crux of that is this. You're responsible for that bullet from the second it leaves the muzzle of that gun until it comes to rest or stops. Not when it hits the first thing or the second thing. So if I were to fire through this wall right over here, it's my responsibility if that bullet goes through that wall and injures somebody else. And it'd be yours too if the gun was in your hand. Now, ladies and gentlemen, those are the 4 safety rules. But I'm going to ask you to do something today. I'm going to ask you to take responsibility to know those for yourself. And then I'm going to ask you to go out and have the courage and the willpower to enforce those rules against others. So when you see another gun guy and he or she is violating the rules, please have the courage to go up and tell him, don't do that. And here's why. Explain those 4 safety rules to him. If we could get everybody to be safety conscious about firearms, we could save a life, and everybody wants to do that. Heck, that's why we carry guns, to save lives. Let's not ever let the tool that we purchase to protect ourselves and our family be the tool that ends up hurting ourselves or our family because we did something stupid with it. Now, the liberals want to latch on to everything they can and say all the bad things about guns. Heck, they don't even know what they're talking about. Even on topics they think they know what they're talking about, they don't know what they're talking about. You may say, hey, I'm a liberal. Okay, if you don't like what I'm saying, leave. We want you to know that this is an important piece of America right here, this firearm. This country was founded on guns, it will end on guns, and they're going to be involved every place we go in the middle. But we want you to do it safely. We want you to safely handle guns. So if you see somebody doing something wrong with a gun, we're begging you right now to make the commitment to yourself to go forward and at least have the decency to tell them what they're doing wrong so they can fix it. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to be mean. Just go help them out. So I want you to commit to me right now that you'll follow these rules. And one thing you can simply do is pass this video along to other people. Use this video. Show it to everybody. Man, I wish they'd show this in schools, but they won't. How come? They don't care about safety. They just want to ban guns. And that's what you see in schools today. That's why these terrorists, these urban terrorists, go into schools and attack, because there's nobody in there to defend them, and we need people with guns. We cannot demonize this tool anymore, folks. And one of the ways that we're not going to demonize it is by following the safety rules and making it safer for people to carry and use firearms. Don't let them have the opportunity to make us look bad. Make yourself look good, follow the rules. Rule number 1, all guns are always loaded. Rule number 2, never let the muzzle cover anything you're not willing to destroy. Rule number 3, keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are on target and you're prepared to shoot. And rule number 4, be certain of your target and beyond. If you go out and take a training class and the instructor is not following these rules, get up and walk out, because somebody's going to get shot. Don't hang around with people that are more jacked up than you are. Have a great day. This is Rich Wyatt. Please subscribe to GunsmokeGunsTV.com. We thank you so much for watching.